Stinson Beach is unique at that time, particularly, because, especially for me, because it was amazing for me to see how that community and those people accepted me and really trusted me.
For the Marin Council of Chambers, I'm Stephanie Plant, and this is We Are One Marin. Stinson Beach has been called the most Southern California of Marin's beach towns. In a town of 541 people, where there are 3 real estate agencies, 2 restaurants, 1 grocery store, and about 150 rental houses, there is only 1 residential cleaning business. That's Gooden Clean. Stinson Beach is separated from the rest of the county by a steep, windy 2-lane highway. Along the drive there, you may see a few white cars with Jeremy and Milton Gooden's company name branded on all sides. This remote beach town supports Gooden Clean as its only black-owned business since Milton began it in 1996.
I guess in some ways we found this one little place where we could kind of flourish and kind of beat the odds of the expectation of how things could have gone or where he could have ended up.
His son Jeremy officially started in 2006 after graduating college and brought with him some ideas for expansion and modernization, like the hybrid cars, to grow their business. As in our previous episodes about Marin City, today we have a deeper conversation about the Black experience in Marin, in business, and in the United States in general. So for Milton, the talk of community is a chance to reflect on how far he has come, and it's a story that might surprise you. Stay tuned as we clean house with father and son on our continued pursuit of how Marin works. Perhaps, let's see, Milton, maybe I'll start with you. When did you start this business?
Well, I started this business back in 1996. I really wasn't expecting to come here and open a business. I actually was, at the time, looking for an opportunity other than what I had in Santa Rosa. I was working with a lumber company pulling logs off, and I just felt like, I needed to do something else. I wasn't making enough money to support myself, so I, packed my car up and moved here to Marin County. I had a job offering from a friend who worked for Stinson Beach Realty to work alongside her. I still didn't have a home or rental, so I actually checked into a homeless shelter because I did have an alcohol problem too. So I stayed in that homeless shelter probably for about 6 months or so. Working with her in Stinson Beach, I still wasn't able to support myself enough, so I asked her, could I clean some homes for her? And on the weekends, I would, start cleaning homes, and Jeremy would join me. I actually started hiring some of the homeless in the shelter to work with me, and things started growing. And I got a lot of support from the community there. And they were giving me jobs after job after job.
I bet.
And it just grew out of that. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it. I thank the Lord to this day that, He brought me here, and it changed my life. And the people of Stinson who actually supported me during that time. So, that's actually what started us out.
You see the Gooden Clean cars all over the county, and I love. Maybe it's one car, and somebody just drives all over the place. But I didn't know your story. I've worked with Jeremy, but that is heartwarming. When you got that start in the late '90s, was it mostly just residential cleaning at the beginning? I guess if it was one of the realtors, then she must have been doing rentals and having you help.
Yes. It was mostly rentals. Stinson Beach Realty was there, I think, 2 years, and she decided to hang it up and move. I wanted to take over the office, but the owner at that time didn't really know me. But one of the community homeowners, who was my client, decided, hey, Milton, we'll get the office for you, and we'll share it. So they started selling little trinkets and souvenirs out of the office, and I was running my cleaning service out of there. And it was all about rental, inside Seadrift, Bolinas, that area. So that's all we particularly did.
Stinson Beach has changed a lot since 1996. The homes in Seadrift, you probably know better than I what the percentage is of how many of those homes are rentals and how many are permanent residents or lived in full time. So those rental houses, they turn over. They're rented for a weekend. They're rented for a week. You must clean them a lot. Would you say the largest portion of your client base is in town, or is it on this side of the hill?
Well, that's the way it started out. It was mostly in Stinson Beach and the surrounding area. It was mostly vacation rentals. It's not very profitable. It's just something, especially during the summertime when people, at its worst, that you have to gear up for. You have to have extra staff. It's just rush, and everybody.
The town is just small enough to me. It seems sometimes like it's a giant hotel.
Yes.
The way that the homes turn over in the summer.
Yes. But you do have some owners who live there that we clean for, and I tell you, some of those owners are some of the best people I've ever met in my whole life. They have contributed to things like when Hurricane Katrina destroyed my family home in New Orleans. They put donations together and put thousands of dollars to donate to my family. Stinson Beach is unique at that time, particularly because, especially for me, because it was amazing for me to see how that community and those people accepted me and really trusted me in their homes and gave me that opportunity. I have to say that because they did. But, it got so hard for the cleaners and hard for us each year after year. And when Jeremy came in, he saw this and he said, "Dad, we got to make some changes here. We can't keep this up. This is straining the staff. We're not making enough money." So he wanted to move away from that, and he can tell you the story on that one.
We did start off doing rentals primarily. I think over the years we realized, basically the rental business in Stinson, and it used to be just 3 months. So 3 months of the year, and then it was just 1 day a week. They did all the turnovers on Fridays. I don't know who thought of it or who came up with it, but every single real estate office would turn over every house on Friday. So sometimes back then we were doing 20 to 25 different houses on one Friday, which, with the laundry and everything, it was like the most untenable situation of all time. And you couldn't get enough workers. Who wants to work 1 day a week, Right. So you didn't have
for
the work
3 months
for
of the year.
Yeah. Right. So over the years, we transitioned away from rentals a little bit and trying to do more general house cleaning, janitorial stuff, construction cleaning, larger projects, prep for sale cleanings, move out cleanings, basically anything, deep cleanings, anything else we could do. And it was just a slow process. So, over the years, slowly, you'd see our rentals, the amount of rentals we were doing dropping off. And then COVID happened and rentals got shut down. So there was no rentals for the first 6 to 8 months. In some ways, it's a good thing because it was an opportunity to not have to do those anymore. So when we started cleaning again, I could tell people I don't want to take on more rentals and just focus on keeping our employees working, doing other things. Most recently, our biggest thing is we do a lot of construction cleaning, a lot of prep for sale cleaning because of the housing market, because of the construction market here in Marin. And those are jobs where people can go there and be there all day. It's a lot more feasible than traveling around, 3 hours a day. I mean, a lot of the biggest cost in our business is traveling. So, some crews might rack up, 12 hours, 14 hours a day of just traveling, and we pay that. The clients don't. So, it's a huge expense, not to mention the gas and everything else about it. So, to going from where we started to where we are now, that's a big change.
Huge. Jeremy, when we first talked about doing this interview, you told me that you wanted to bring your dad because you wanted him to tell his story. Is there something about his story you want to tell?
Well, I just think for a lot of people, when things don't go well, when you have difficulties, whatever they may be, and you're a person of color, especially black man, it's very hard to get people to overlook things, maybe any mistake you've made in your life, whereas other people may get that opportunity. And I think it's important. His story is important in a lot of ways because there's not a lot of businesses that start, one employee to, almost 20, in the way that we have for the extended period that we have. And to do all that with the difficulties. I mean, even between us growing up, the difficulties. But to kind of power through all of that and, put your head down and work really hard and have it work out. It just doesn't happen a lot. At least, not in the world as it currently is. And in general, it's incredibly difficult. I think the most difficult part of business is capital and having money to invest in a business, to be able to do things to grow your business. And as a black man, I mean, even us, when we got big, we doing large amounts of revenue, lots of employees, couldn't even get our own bank to give us a loan. So it's a big problem, I think, in America that, you walk into a bank and the color of your skin changes the way they deal with you. And this is still a problem that persists. This part hasn't changed. Lending, banking, and race. Like until is more equity for everyone, you're not going to see a lot of black business owners. And it's one reason you don't see a lot of black business owners. Same reason you don't see a lot of black property owners. If you can't get that first loan, if you can't get the down payment on that house, if you don't have a parent or a grandparent who's passing you down land because your parents or your grandparents weren't able to even have any, then how do you do anything? You don't. And so I just think in a lot of ways, it's like, I guess in some ways we found this one little place where we could kind of, at least in some ways, flourish and, in a lot of ways kind of beat the odds, because the society just doesn't support you in the same way. You have to basically pick yourself up off your own bootstraps every single time. I mean, we still experience that to this day. And it will probably always be that way until, like I say, there's major changes, especially, like I say, in just the amount of money that's lent to black Americans. I mean, it's astronomical how little is actually being lent to black Americans to start businesses. I've talked to other business owners, they all have the same problem. So, I mean, because if you have collateral, you own your house, yeah, that's one thing, but what if you don't?
Right.
How do you get that first investment? How do you get someone, unless it's a private person investing in you, how do you get that? Because you can't really grow a business, you can't really create more capital unless you have some to start with. I mean, it's just the way that it is. And it's not easy to save, capital and survive, so you're not, you're kind of always behind the eight ball in that sense. And I think that one reason black home ownership and business ownership is down is that's a problem we just haven't addressed as a society.
Marin City is celebrating its 80th anniversary of being incorporated, and we had 3 different business owners that we've interviewed, and a lot of the history of Marin City has come up. There are so many Marinites who are not aware of the history of redlining, of all the things that you just spoke about right here.
Yeah.
And I think that was the impetus for why we wanted to start these conversations in the first place. I certainly appreciate your story, both of you, and your honesty. When you started, Milton, were there any other black-owned businesses in Stinson?
No.
Are there now?
No.
No.
Not that I'm aware of. I know for me, I had bad credit, everything, so the thing I had to do was when I did make money, I had to save it to buy one car, then save it to buy another car until I got my credit and everything right, which took years. I was owing money to IRS and child support, you name it. I was a mess. And I took care of all those things after so many years. But the banks, nobody would ever loan me anything. SBA, nobody. So little by little, I would just buy things like a vehicle or here and there. And when they did start lending me money, I could only go through these merchant cash advance, who charge you, these high rates.
Yeah, 15 to 25% interest rates on
the system does not seem to be set up for success.
I mean, when the pandemic hit, we had to take out MCA loans to keep our employees paid, and that was at the time the only way we could keep, getting the money we needed to kind of stay.
Keep our doors open.
Yeah, and to keep our employees paid, really. I mean,
You did a lot of community service during that time because I think you cleaned those bathrooms when they got reopened, right?
yeah, we did. Yeah, they were pretty bad. They had like shut them down for like a year. they were in pretty bad shape. We got to do all the dangerous stuff.
Does anybody know about that? I mean,
We did a lot of stuff. Like we went into the post office every day, cleaned all the surfaces. Because at first, COVID, you didn't know if really how it was being transferred. They didn't know if it was surfaces. Well, the post office stayed open every day. We did that for a long time until we started learning that the surfaces were not as, but it took about 6 to 8 months before we figured that part out. But at least at first, we were trying to like do our part. We did things like spraying all the park benches down. We were spraying in front of Sergio's store, although he paid us to do it. Mm-hmm. We did cleaning for some other clients. We did cleaning at like a preschool. We did, unlike a lot of businesses that really did close, we closed down certain aspects of our business, but not everything. And I mean, at first it was scary, I mean, I have little kids at home, and I was taping everything up with like, just trying to keep people safe. We had like plastic coverings in our vehicles to keep the employees separate, and like this crazy cleaning regiments. And I'm taking all the information I can get on the internet anywhere about what to do, all these things, like how to dispose of that. And then we put the trash bag in the second trash bag, and then but just all an effort to try to keep people safe. And I mean, that was at a time too before they said to wear masks, which were actually the safest thing to do.
right.
So we're all worried about like, don't touch this, clean this, wipe
Washing
this down.
vegetables,
I mean,
yeah.
or spray them.
Yeah, and then once we learned the masks and the distancing became the focus, and getting away from the surface stuff. But at first, that's first 6 to 8 months, that's what it was.
But let me tell you this story first. Before COVID, okay, we heard about it in China, right?
Right.
So this guy here was buying up masks and buying up this, and I'm saying he's spending all of this money for what? It ain't gonna happen like that.
You thought he was crazy, right?
Yes, I did. I really did. He was like Amazon crazy. I mean, and I'm saying, we're not going to need all of this. He said, watch, you just watch. And sure enough,
Unfortunately, he was right.
Yeah, we had enough stuff to share with the community of Stinson Beach.
Wow.
Yeah,
We donated masks, gloves,
disinfectant, you name it.
hand sanitizer. We donated it to schools because we had everything. We were prepared. I didn't really wait. It was like that Wednesday before they were saying we were going to shut down. I might have spent every last penny we had. I told my dad, like literally every penny.
I might have spent.
Yeah, I think really like on supplies, because I just, I'm looking at China and Europe, and I'm saying, Doug, this is what's going to happen here. And if we think we're going to get out of this, we're wrong. And everyone's telling me I'm crazy. And I even told my dad, I said, we're going to have to shut down. That's going to happen. Everybody didn't think it would really happen that way here. And then like, we'd wake up in the morning, the IJ article comes out,
Yep.
it was
Yeah.
like, and it was just like one thing after another, and literally within 48 hours, you couldn't even find gloves, masks, anything.
Yeah, totally.
So, for two men who have felt prejudice and inequity throughout your personal and business lives, what inspires you to be so community-minded? It's beautiful, the amount of things you've done.
yeah.
I don't know, just the way I was raised. I was raised in the South, and I was raised by my grandmother. And she always would say, no matter what happens in life, just keep going forward. You're going to have a lot of obstacles. Just keep moving on, just push it off and move forward. And help those who are in need of help. So that was installed in me early. I guess it was installed in with Jeremy. Because when I started this business, I guess we had that hard-working mentality. He was a kid, and during the summer, he would come clean houses in Stinson with me, follow me around, and work with me the whole time. Even all through college, he would come home during the summer, do window jobs and carpet jobs, wanting to help others as well. So he would, help his friend get a job part-time and work with him. And, yeah, it was just one of those things that was installed in us early.
A work ethic is a valuable thing, priceless maybe thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
I think I have to give credit to probably my mom. I mean, as a kid, she worked with developmentally disabled adults. I mean, she worked a job where she made basically minimum wage for 25 years. But she did it because she felt like she was doing something that really mattered, and it was important to those people, even though, and people always say, well, you should go get a job that pays more money or do this for money. And my mom always taught me, it's like, you could have all the money in the world, but, if you're not making an impact around the people like around you and the people you care about, and you're not doing something where you feel like, at the end of the day, like you feel good about the person and the decisions you're making, that kind of thing, then you're really not doing anything. And so money never really has driven me. And not having money most of my life probably made that a big part of it. I mean, I was, when I went to college, I packed my car up, everything I owned, and just moved myself into the dorms, and, had worked a full-time job, to worked on the weekends at a bartending, like doing whatever I could. So I was just always, and then I still was coaching basketball, volunteering, doing that. I did that for 8 years here too. And I think more because of who I am, being that I'm a black male, that even more important that I take that responsibility of whether it's helping younger males learn that life's opportunities are there for them, and that they can kind of make anything they want out of themselves. And then also, taking care of my community, the people I care about, whether it's, my family, my friends, or my employees. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we all have a certain amount of time on Earth. When you're gone, the only thing people remember is not how much money they inherited from you. They don't remember that. But they do remember how, like, you made them feel. So I think that's how, if more people had that kind of perception in life, we'd probably be in a much better place and a lot less selfish of people.
You hear the saying, customers come first. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't believe in that, to be honest. We believe in employees come first.
I was going to ask you about your staff. I'm glad you brought that up.
One of our things I think that made us very successful is the fact that we've had employees that started out with us from day one. We got employees in 20 years, 18,
Wow.
15, and 12. And they seem to stick with us. So what we try to do is make sure they're able to live in this expensive county. Mm-hmm. I mean, and this is a very expensive county to survive. So our wages are far higher than most, and we offer more benefits. We have probably maybe 20, 25, I call good and clean company grandbabies, babies from staff. We've been around so long.
Yes.
And these employees who had babies and their kids start working for us, I try to get them to feel that they are owners in this company, and I think they feel that way, and they feel that kind of responsibility, that they are part owner as well, and that keeps them here with us and make them, I guess, more loyal to the company, and they feel like they have a responsibility to us like we feel towards them.
Which I think actually then does translate to your customer. If the employee is loyal to you and your business and your business philosophy, they're going to carry out that philosophy.
Yes, exactly.
We just interviewed a business owner who owns an in-home care business. Mm-hmm. And he said some similar things about taking care of the staff.
Right.
And how that comes back and enriches the business, frankly.
Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more.
At the end of the day, like I said, that really trying to put our employees first is always, it means our employees show up to work every day on time. It means, like you said, with they keep customers happy. We have a lot of, some really high-end clients that they work for, and trust is a huge thing, and I trust every single person that works for us. I mean, we don't do a lot of a lot of like wide hiring like other cleaning companies do, or like have turnover where it's like different person working every week or every year or any of that. It's like the same people cleaning your house for probably, I have some clients that had the same people clean their house for 15 years, same exact people. So, you know, a lot of that is something I think we can be proud of, and I think it's important. You know, in a lot of ways, it's hard because as a business owner, your job is to make a profit so you have a business, and so the battle between that and trying to keep your doors open and also trying to keep your employees happy, that's the battle we're fighting right now still. Throughout this pandemic, it's a battle we'll probably be fighting for the next few years until things somewhat normalize, and hopefully we have a chance to pay back all the debt that we've taken on. You know, but at the same time, you know, I think it was the right thing to do, and I know that like my employee, like especially ones who wouldn't have found any other way to have an income, because the way that unemployment is dealt with and other things, sometimes some of those programs can be out of reach for people. And be that as it may, there isn't that safety net for them when, you know, that first year, especially, people just weren't working. So looking back on it now, probably even the perspective of it, like that makes you feel good. Makes you feel like, you know, yeah, you did something there, you know?
Definitely. We've talked about this before, that when you have people in roles of authority, whether it's business ownership or public officials, anybody's perspective is only as large as their experience, right? And so when you have those decision makers or those company owners and you have experienced adversity, you're not going to let those employees go without a check, because you know what that feels like, right? And that may not be in someone's perspective if they haven't ever experienced going without a check in a check-to-check lifestyle, you know? And all of those inequalities you were talking about earlier, if we had decision makers who had that in their realm of focus or consciousness, we would be in a different circumstance.
And I'd be remiss to not mention the fact that, like, no matter how much money we would have borrowed to try to stay in business and keep people paid, it really was the difference maker and why we're even still here was our clients. Because I had some clients that donated to be able to do that really made a big difference. They really saved us, and you know, I'll never forget what that really did for us and for our employees. And our employees won't either. They know, you know, they know.
It's really fun to see the two of you together. I'd love to know what about Jeremy makes you the most proud as his dad.
There's so many things. He has a work ethic that I've never seen in anyone, and he's a leader and a teacher. When he does things, he likes to teach you, not just tell you. You know, he's same way when he's coaching. He don't leave anything out. So he's a born leader. He cares about people, and he cares. I mean, to a point, sometimes maybe too much for me, but
that's fair. That's very fair.
He have a great love of people and the people around him. And I guess that's what I'm so proud of him about, because he's a very caring and loving individual. And I know that has a lot to do with his mom.
Oh.
I would say that's a fair assessment on both counts.
That's very nice. It's really, it's been a pleasure to meet both of you. I think you both seem to have not only a high regard for each other, but for your community. And I mean, I certainly don't have any authority to speak on behalf of Stinson Beach, but I know a few people out there. I know that there's so much gratitude coming back to you, too. It's a great relationship. I look forward to seeing those little hybrid cars driving back and forth over the hill for a long, long time to come.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for being here.
Guys.
Thank you both. To get some good and clean services, contact Jeremy and Milton at goodandcleaninc.com. That's goodandcleaninc.com. And if you want to join the conversation or make suggestions, reach us at weareonemarin@gmail.com. The Marin Community Foundation generously sponsors this podcast. Our theme music is performed by a student at Enriching Lives Through Music, Elm is in San Rafael's Canal neighborhood. Finally, a reminder to support diverse local businesses and shop Marin.